Welcome to the UD Football Show with head football coach Stan Zwiefel, and we're going to be talking about the Spartans' opening game of the season, a 70-53 victory over Bethel University this past Saturday here at the Chalmers Field. And no, it wasn't University of Dubuque basketball, although Coach Sieverding might like a nearly 20-point win like that when the hoops team gets going. But the Spartan football team had the offense on high octane throughout the day, and Bethel was pretty good too. 70-53 victory for the Spartans, and both teams moving it up and down the field on each other, but some big stands by the UD defense in that fourth quarter especially helped turn the tide in that football game. And we'll talk about that with Coach Zwiefel. Also, defensive coordinator Carl Coleman's going to join us later in the program, and offensive coordinator Drew Nystrom also will be coming aboard to talk with us. And we'll be talking about opponent number 2 of the season, the Pacific football team, as the Spartans will head out west here later this week as they'll head to Forest Grove, Oregon to play Pacific for a second straight season. It's been a good matchup the last 2 times these 2 teams have played, with UD coming on the top side in both of those efforts in close ball games, and expect more of the same coming up on Saturday night. So a lot to get to here on the program. We'll be joined by Coach Stan Zwiefel first on the UD Football Show. We'll talk about that big win this past Saturday and look ahead to Pacific when we return on the UD Football Show on 101.1 The River. And welcome back to Chalmers Field on this Tuesday night. The UD Football Show with head football coach Stan Zwiefel joining us tonight. A hot day here at Chalmers Field, Coach.
Humid too, yes.
Yeah, you guys just got off of practice, and we're both sweating here tonight. It's a warm day here in Dubuque, and it was a beautiful day on Saturday, though. The fans enjoyed the sunshine and a great weather day. And wow, an entertaining ball game for fans to watch, and a 70-53 victory for the University of Dubuque. Entertaining game for the fans, and the coaches. How much did you enjoy that one?
Well, there's. I always say, as I told the team afterwards, there'll be a game this year where we win 8-6, 10-7, and the most important factor is that you do what you have to do to win the ball game. Now, we scored a lot of points, but you mentioned earlier in the intro that our defense stopped them in the fourth quarter, got a turnover in the fourth quarter, got a couple stops, gave us short fields. It was really an ebb and flow game. And I'm going to tell you this, I told our kids afterwards, and I told our staff, I believe that Bethel's at the worst will be 8-2 this year, and we'll have a chance to compete with the St. John's and St. Thomas's of the MIAC. They're a fantastic offense. Stretch you from sideline to sideline and put a lot of stress on you coverage-wise, but also running some option and doing some things. And their 2 backs are the best backs we'll see this year, in my opinion. So all that being said, we found a way to win. And, of course, I couldn't have predicted that we were going to score as many points as we did. But I think I've told you all along when our first show, all through fall camp, I felt that this is the fastest team that we've put on the field, the most athletic team we put on the field, and as deep as we have ever been at receiver. And we've been very, very good at receiver over the years. So I feel like we're going to have a chance to score some points. Connor Feckley outperformed any of my expectations, and who was going to expect a kid to throw for 600-plus yards and 8 touchdowns? You can't expect that. But I also said to our staff, and I told you, that he throws as good a deep ball as anybody I've had here since Wyatt Hannes, who threw 45, 48 touchdown passes his junior year. So there's some real parallels between our offense and the 2011 team with the equality of receivers, and we have a really outstanding back. We're very young in the offensive line, but if you notice, we only got sacked 1 time on our attempts, and we did have a rush the ball for 100 yards, especially in the fourth quarter when you want to get a little bit of the clock run. So overall, I thought we did a good job on offense. Defense, of course, we don't want to give up that many yards and points, but you got to make a stop somewhere in the game to win a game, and we did. I was very excited about our kicking game. Braden Neuendorf did a heck of a job kicking off. Had 3 touchbacks. He made 8 out of 8 on extra points. And our punting game, although we only punted twice, Connor O'Malley averaged 45 yards a punt, and we had both of our times, our operation times were outstanding. We're under 2 seconds, and you're always trying to get from 1.95 to 2.10, and we were under 2 seconds on both those. So I felt good about a lot of things that we did, Tim. I really did. Again, you're kind of in a little bit of amazement and awe when you score that many points. You can't plan on scoring 70 points, and it just seemed like G. Toomer was the bolt guy, the track guy, win all those dang gold medals. He was just running by folks the whole time. And Connor was throwing an exceptionally clean and accurate deep ball. And I don't think we're going to get worse at that. We're going to get better at that, throwing the deep ball. So we're as I mentioned earlier, we're going to throw the ball down the field now because we got some dang good skill on that part. So protecting, obviously, is an important part of that. But I think when you leave that game, you have a thinking, well, 70 to 53, Coach. I got a couple emails. Did you box out on the rebounds or not? See? And I said, well, again, the key to anything is you find a way to win, whether it's a big score or a low score, and we did do that.
Yes, you did. Connor Feckley and Najee Toomer for their efforts, both named to the D3Football.com National Team of the Week today, and that's rare when you get two teammates that make that same team, but much deserving. And they really were the highlight guys, but, man, you just go down the sheet here. And
it's something.
Yeah,
it
is really something. I mean, Austin Morgan, 8 catches, 89 yards. Jonathan Duarte, 4 catches, 117. Dylan Schultz, 6 catches, 73 yards. Najee had 10 catches, 297 yards, 5 touchdowns. And, those deep balls, as you mentioned, thrown by Connor Feckley for 634 yards, 8 touchdowns. Amazing.
Yeah, and you look what really sticks out to me about the statistic is the yards per catch. We were able to move the ball down on intermediate routes as well as deep routes. And some of our short routes that Austin Morgan caught a number of, he was able to run after the catch. I really think there's going to be a good blend for us there. The guy that I still am expecting going to have a great season is our tight end, Trenton Curry. Mm-hmm. He wasn't really and get as many catches as we could get him on Saturday, but our outside guys were so wide open and so very difficult to cover that he didn't become an integral part. But he will become an integral part as people start to double our wides and work their safeties over the top. And again, I see nothing but better things coming for us as far as throwing the ball. Again, we didn't, we talk about only rushing for 100 yards, but we didn't really rush the ball to the second half. We just didn't feel like we had to. And we started out in such good rhythm and had such accuracy that we felt like they were having a very difficult time defending our throw game.
You trailed 14-7 at the end of the first quarter. It was tied up 28-28 right before halftime. Take us in the locker room. I mean, talk about what you guys were trying to maybe stop and what you visited about.
Well, I think the first thing you went in there and you felt like, there's a part of the team that feels like they haven't done a good job and a part of the team that feels like they've really done a good job. And as I said before, hey, it doesn't matter. You got to find a way to win. So whether it's 0-0 and the offense is upset or it's 28-20 and the defense doesn't feel good, come in, get a little poise going. I thought one of the things that hurt us in the first half, we lost a little bit of our poise. And at halftime, we were, I told the offense, I don't know if they're going to stop us. I seriously felt that, Tim. I felt we had some great matchups. And the defense was making adjustments to a team that's a very difficult team to defend. But I will tell you this, the whole game, we were really hitting hard. We were being aggressive, being physical. The problem is that we couldn't get enough folks to the back because they had us so spread out from sideline to sideline. So we had a lot of one-on-one opportunities, and Coach Carl, who'll be in a couple minutes, I told him after the game, if we tackle better, that takes at least 14 points off that score. But I bet you that those kids are going to be hard to tackle all year long because they're good players. And so when you got space and you have a one-on-one situation, it's sometimes difficult to bring down a back one-on-one.
Looking at some of the other stats, and this bears out that you really have confidence in your team. Yeah. You went for it 8 times on 4th down, successful 5 times. And, this team, you just got a lot of confidence in your offensive ability.
Yeah, we have talked all through fall camp that we feel like our offense is good enough that if we get a certain area of the field that we're going to be in 4-down territory. And it just so happened on this game on Saturday, not only did we have across the 50 when we went for 4th down the majority of the time, it just felt like it was right because their offense was doing very well, and we wanted to keep their offense off the field. And again, we thought we could get some isolations and matchups in our throw game, and it bore out. Now, I can't tell you I'm going to go for it 8 times next week on Saturday. I'll tell you that on 4th down. But again, the situation of the game dictates a lot of what you do strategically, and I just felt that on Saturday the strategy paid off for us about what we were going to do on fourth down.
So, I mean, you go into the third quarter, it's still a battle, and then finally that fourth quarter rolls around. We talked about those defensive stops that your team made. On the defensive side of the ball, you had a couple linebackers, three linebackers playing their first game as starters.
Yes.
LeDevin Smith, Jacob Owens, man, they were huge for you on Saturday.
They were, and LeDevin made a couple really good, solid tackles, which I think affected them in the fourth quarter. One on a wideout, one on a quarterback, and that made a difference when we got to the fourth quarter. Now, Jake had a lot of tackles, and Jake be the first one to tell you, he missed a lot of tackles on that game. So he's a little bit nicked up, but that's a great job for both those guys because I don't think we're going to face anybody that's any better than their offense as we move along. So throw them into the fire a little bit. They get toasted a little bit, but they're going to come back a lot better than was before the first game. And I'll say again, to me, it reminded me, Tim, of 2011 down at Coe in that 49-42 game
I remember
for the championship where our defense made a stop in the fourth quarter to win the game for us. So I say to you again, I don't care if you win 70-69 or 2-0. What you want to do is win, and you got to make a play when it comes down to the final, whatever those seconds are or minutes are in a game.
Before we talk about Pacific, any other takeaways from that first win of the season for the Spartans?
Well, I think if you really think about this, Tim, again, we open up with a quality opponent, an MIAC top 3 team in the MIAC, possibly a top 25 football team. And if you look at that game, we really played well. We really played so much better than we did a year ago at St. John's. And I told you after the St. John's a year ago, we got to get more speed on the field for us. And we went out and recruited more speed, and boy, did it become transparent how important that speed is for a football team because the speed that we put on the field was faster than Bethel.
How about the Iowa Conference on Saturday as you looked at the results from week number 1?
What a big win for Central. And what did I say about Central? They're going to be a dang good offense. They've got a lot of folks back. They went out and played in a very difficult situation, made the plane trip out the West Coast, similar to what we're going to do on this weekend, and then played a tough game, double overtime and find a way to win. Wartburg hasn't played yet, so you can't make much comments on that, but the Central game is the one that really stuck out to me, Tim, with a team that looks like they're going to be very good offensively. The rest of the league, I think, had some real tough matchups with WIAC schools. And so when you play WIAC school, you're playing a team that's dang good, whether they're the 8th place team in the WIAC or the number 1 team in the WIAC. So I took away a little bit. The only one that really kind of surprised me was Luther a little bit. I thought they would be really difficult to defend this year offensively. They're in the third year of that option offense, and that just creates 1,000 headaches for people. But I think they got off to a little bit of a tough start for them. But Central was very impressive in their win.
Well, week number 2, you'll be heading to Forest Grove, Oregon to meet Pacific University. Second trip in a row out to the West Coast, second season in a row, I should say. And what's the itinerary for the Spartans this week?
We'll drive to Madison on Thursday night and fly out of Madison on Friday morning. I would say this Pacific has been just a wonderful matchup for us the last 2 years. Both games have come down to the last possession in the fourth quarter. We've been fortunate enough to win those games. They're a very physical football team. They're going to match us better in speed than Bethel did. Very emotional football team. Play with a ton of energy. And they really seem to feed on big plays. Big things happen for them. A year ago we got off to an early lead on them and then kind of hung on at the end. They're a class coaching staff. I really like their coaches. It's a really good matchup for size universities. They're coming out of the Northwest Conference, Tim, which I think is right up there with the WIC, the CCIW, and the MIC as quality of conference. Linfield always comes out of that conference as a semifinalist or a finalist in the Division III playoffs. And I really like that we're very well similar in what we do offensively and what we do defensively. It really is kind of a game where it's going to be a very difficult game to win, which will prepare us for the first conference game when we get back. So overall, it's going to be a trip that, your guys got to adjust to the trip. You're going out there. You're having 2 short nights. That's difficult. The good news is we don't play till 6 o'clock Pacific time. So Saturday we'll have them, let them sleep in a little bit and let them recover a little bit on that part. But you're out of routine, Tim, and I'm a big routine guy, and so we're kind of, still a little bit different than we normally would do at home or away game where you drive. So we'll try to make that as comfortable as we can for the kids, give them as much routine that we would at home. But that's always a factor. And then, of course, good football team away from home. Going to be a lot of fun.
As you alluded to, the first two meetings have been thrillers. You won 31-29 last year, their place. The year before the start of the series, they came here, and you won that game 16-10. What can you tell us about Pacific this year?
Well, they're really, really physical on defense, extremely physical. Run pretty well. They have a very aggressive scheme. They're going to try to stop the run and make you pass. That might play into our hands. We'll just have to see what they do. Offensively, they've got some new guys on their offense, but they've got two really good wide receivers, I think. They've got a quarterback that, although he's just a first-year starter for him, has got a very nice arm. And when I visited with Coach Coleman and the defensive staff last night watching tape with him, I thought he was very poised for a new guy and had a lot of able to stay alive in the pocket and elongate some plays. So they'll bring some things. And, again, I think what sticks out to me, Tim, about them, they're just really physical and really play with a lot of emotion.
How about injury situation? You doing okay there?
I think we are. We still have Greg Smith, our starting right guard, who will not play on this Saturday. We had a couple guys nicked up in practice tonight. Tim, I don't know what the extent of their injury is until I have a chance to visit with our training staff. We're about as healthy as we've been with the exception of Greg Smith, our right guard. So we'll see what happens with him and see if we can't get him back ready for the conference opener.
All right, Coach. Any final thoughts before you turn you loose for this week? And we'll bring your assistants over here to talk with us in just a minute.
You bet. They'll give you a heck of a lot better information than I gave you, first of all. And then second of all, what I want to say about that game, what a great start for us. As I've alluded to many times as we've talked both on the radio and off the radio, this is a team I think has got a chance to be really, really good. I feel like we got a lot of great skill and a lot of great speed at different positions, but we're so dang young. And so you have to keep them structured. You have to keep your foot on the gas pedal and sometimes on their throat to make sure that they're sticking to what should be done. So that always creates a little bit of a chaos is the right word, Tim.
I like chaos.
As our practice was tonight, a little bit chaotic. So we'll continue to work with that, but I'm really excited about the results of Game 1.
Coach, appreciate your time and have safe travels out to Oregon. Best of luck to the Spartans, trying to start the year 2-0.
We'll see you next Monday, Tim.
All right, you bet. That's head coach Stan Zwiefel, University of Dubuque football show with Stan Zwiefel. Hey, don't go away. We got a lot more of the program. We're going to have Carl Coleman, defensive coordinator, and also offensive coordinator Drew Nystrom join us here before we say goodbye for this week. We'll do that in 1 minute on AM 1370 or on 101.1 The River. Hey, we're back on this Tuesday night. I almost said Monday night. It feels like a Monday night, but it is Tuesday night, UD football show. And we heard from head coach Stan Zwiefel. Now we're going to talk with defensive coordinator Carl Coleman coming up to join us. And Coach Coleman, it's sure good to see you again.
Absolutely, Tim. Good to see you as well. Thank you for having me.
Well, 70-53 victory over the Bethel University on Saturday, and it's sometimes it's just tough to stop another team. And you played, it was a very good offense that you saw.
Yes, sir. They were a very skilled offense, very physical at the point of attack. They had a very large offensive line and a dang good running back. A very skilled quarterback. They presented a lot of problems for us, stretched us across the field, and utilized their athletes, their ball carriers, and their slot receivers to take some advantage of some opportunities.
So maybe good to have an opponent like that will prepare you for your upcoming matchups.
Absolutely. I don't think we'll see too many offenses moving forward either in the Iowa Conference or with Pacific that are as talented as that group was. That is one of the better offenses in the country. They had a senior quarterback, an experienced junior running back who played at the scholarship level and transferred in, and a really good tight end, and I think is one of the better tight ends in the country. He was a very physical young man, very large kid, about 6'4", 225, 235 pounds, and was able to move our 7 techniques and climb and seal our linebackers. Just a good football player, and they're a well-coached football team.
Mm-hmm. This year's UD defense, of course, you lost a lot of big playmakers from last year's team to graduation, and just talk about the team this year. You've got a lot of new faces that are coming in and kind of feeling their way through that first game coming into this week.
We are definitely excited about our young players. And the core group of our defense that is returning from last year, they're doing a tremendous job of leading. You do not replace Blaine Snicker and Oscar White and Trevor Stoner and Mac Maimons and all the other seniors that we graduated, Zach Murata, overnight. It takes a little time. And we have some young guys that got exposed out there, missing some reads, missing some keys. But for the most part, our effort was there. We were hustling to the football. You can overcome a lot of mistakes when you do that. And in the fourth quarter, when it mattered the most, we found ways to get stops, get the ball back to our offense, who was really rolling, and they did an excellent job offensively this past Saturday. And we got the win. We will take the win when we can get them. Wins are hard to come by. We definitely are going to celebrate that victory over the weekend. Now we have turned our attention to Pacific, and we got out there and got after it today in practice, and we have some cleaning up that we have to do these next 2 practices.
Mm-hmm. Coach Zwiefel has talked a lot about speed, and the defense. You've added some speed, I think, on the defensive side of the ball from last season.
Yes, sir. Coach Z really wanted us as a staff to go out and recruit faster guys, so we really focused on that this year. And as the staff, I think each area recruiter did an outstanding job of finding the talent in their areas and building a solid relationship with that student athlete, his family, his high school coach, and we were able to attract those student athletes in here to the University of Dubuque. So we're excited about our future here.
Mm-hmm. Talk about the key cogs on defense this year.
If Will Hudson and Dan Pike continue to play well like they did this past Saturday on the inside, I think it will be very formidable on rush defense, stopping the ball in the interior gaps. LaDevin Smith emerged as a linebacker who we feel like can be counted on to make consistent tackles at the point of attack. He had a really good shot on number 14, their quarterback, this past week that knocked him out of the game for a couple of plays. So they lost their senior quarterback for a few snaps there in the second half. That was exciting to see a young linebacker step up and make some plays. And then on the back end, we have 3 returning starters and Michael Joseph, a first-team all-conference corner, and 2 safeties that played in 12 games. And then our third safety, who plays quite a bit, Cody Benisevich, also rolled in there. So we have a lot of experience between the 2 Derricks, as I like to call them, Derek Trotter and Derek Shambo, Cody Benisevich at safety, and Michael Joseph. And then we're really pleased with Jonathan Higgins and Calvin Madrano, Blaze Barista, some of our other young freshmen athletes that have come in and have done a tremendous job for us up to this point.
70-53 ball game. Have you ever had a coach in a game like that before?
I haven't been a part of too many scores like that, but hey, if the offense can continue to roll like that, that is awesome. We're going to be tough to beat. And like Coach Z said earlier, when it mattered the most in the fourth quarter, we were able to get stops. For 3 straight series, we were able to get off the field on 4th down. 2 of those attempts, they were in their score zone, in their red zone, and we defended the goal line and got critical, crucial stops, got the ball back to the offense, and the very next play we went over the top and we were able to put points on the board. So that was exciting to see our guys come from behind in the second half and win a game here on our home field.
You're going to have to talk to Coach Nystrom about giving the defense a little bit more of a break, though, once in a while.
Keep putting those points on the board. We'll take it. The offense did a tremendous job, and we have been telling them that since the game this past Saturday.
Coach, anything else you want to share about the UD defense this year and the upcoming challenge with Pacific, too? Talk about that.
Pacific is going to be a very good football team, very physical at the point of attack. They've got some good offensive linemen that have a knack and ability to create some holes for their running backs. They're athletic. They're skilled. We don't feel they'll be as physical as Bethel was on the offensive line, but they're not that far removed from those guys. They're a well-coached football team. We're going to have to continue to progress. You always coaches always talk about how much better you get between week 1 and week 2, and so that's what we're looking forward to this Saturday, to see if we can be more effective tacklers, if we can be more consistent with our reads. Where are our eyes? What are we looking at? What's telling us run pass, and then playing those techniques appropriately. And then last but not least, hustle. Maximum effort to the football. If we can do that, we'll be okay. We'll be fine, and we'll continue to progress and move in the right direction. So I'm excited about our future.
Carl, thanks a lot for stopping by, talking with us. We'll look forward to watching that UD defense all season long. And thanks for joining us, and good luck on Saturday at Pacific.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
You bet. Carl Coleman, defensive coordinator for the University of Dubuque Spartans. When we come back, we'll be on the offensive side of the ball. Drew Nystrom, the offensive coordinator stops by to visit about the UD offense for 2016 right after this on the UD Football Show on 101.1 The River. And we're back on the University of Dubuque Football Show here on 101.1 The River. We're here at Chalmers Field. The University of Dubuque Spartans will be playing coming up on Saturday night against Pacific, and you can hear the game here on 101.1 The River. Pregame will be coming at 7:40 and kickoff at 8 o'clock. Drew Nystrom, the offensive coordinator of the Spartans, stopping by now to talk with us about the team and the big win on Saturday. And, Coach, first of all, talk about that win. Wow, 70 points on the board. What an offensive performance your guys had.
It was really something. It was I can tell you that was the first time in my coaching career to ever be a part of something like that. And it was the next day grading film. I didn't realize how many one-play series we had. I was going through I didn't know we had back-to-back ones. I didn't realize we had 4 one-play drives. It was really something that was special, and it was nice to see from a bunch of young guys where going into that game, you know you have a lot of talent, but you don't necessarily know how are they going to respond when everything gets flying at them and going during the game. So it was really exciting to see Connor step up and play really well. All the receivers step up, and each one took advantage of the opportunities that they were given and made the best of it. And obviously we've got a lot more work to do up front in the run game. We were out of sync the entire time, and whether it was a lack of experience at some positions and just, when the running back was making the right reads, we weren't blocking the hole correctly. And then when we were doing a better job with that, then, maybe he was missing a read, that type of stuff. So we'll look to improve on that moving forward, and hopefully that'll give us a little bit more balance and make us a little bit more difficult to defend for opposing teams coming up.
Connor Feckley, as Coach Zweifel said in his segment, really showed his ability to throw that deep ball, and he's got some speed guys, so it's a great combination.
There's no doubt about that. Just got to hold up front and give him enough time to put some air underneath it, and we've got several weapons that can go and run underneath that thing as long as he puts enough air under it.
Connor made one start last year. How has he really matured maybe from last year to this year, and knowing that he's got the controls of the Spartan offense? He's
really doing a nice job, and he's doing a nice job in the huddle with such youth around him. There's only a handful of seniors on the offense as a whole. There's only 2 on the offensive line. There's 2 receivers and 1 fullback, and that's about it for us. So he's really taking ownership in the huddle. He's making sure guys are running the routes to the correct depth. He's doing everything that he can. He's in the office all the time, watching film, working on things with Coach Z and the scripts and that type of stuff. So he's really invested and really taken off with that. And so hopefully he'll continue to grow and make the steps necessary to move forward.
We didn't talk much about it, maybe not at all during Coach Z's segment, but offensive line played pretty well for the first week out. Connor really wasn't hurried a lot, and he was able to deliver those balls, and wasn't really under a lot of duress for the whole ball game.
Yeah, I was really pleased with what we were able to do in pass protection. We had 4 new starters, 1 true freshman. I'd say 2 of my top 6 guys are really out right now, and so to have some young guys step up and their real first game action to do what they did, and I don't know if you noticed it, but man, Bethel pressured a lot. They brought 5 guys more than 50% of the time, and the young guys were able to step up. And what's not said a lot within that is the running back play in that too. Mo did a fantastic job of stepping up, making sure he was on the right read, sticking him, being inside out, and allowing Connor to get the ball off. So, the 6 of us and 7 of us, when you get the fullback and tight end involved in that, really did a nice job with that. I was really pleased with us.
As you look at the rest of the season, the starts coming up on Saturday, take on Pacific. What kind of a challenge is that going to be for your offense?
It's going to be difficult. We're a young offense. They're a veteran defense. There's some guys that are on the film that we're looking at. I could have sworn they've been playing against them for 5 years. It almost feels like they've been on the field every single time. So, got a really talented linebacker core. They like to do a lot of movements up front and free up those linebackers to run sideline to sideline because they can. So, they're just a veteran group that are going to give us a tough battle the entire time.
Coach Nystrom, it's been a pleasure talking with you. The clock on the wall says we got to get going, so we could talk offense all day. I'd keep us here for a while longer, but we appreciate you coming by. Best of luck to the Spartans coming up on Saturday night when you take on Pacific. It was a lot of fun watching you on Saturday. Good luck to the Spartans.
Awesome. Thanks, Tim.
All right, Drew Nystrom, the assistant coach, the offensive coordinator for the University of Dubuque football team. Remember, we're back here next Monday night for the UD Football Show with Stan Zwiefel at 6 o'clock here on 101.1 The River.